Hi everybody, welcome to Global Reports. This session, my name's Tony Smith, I work for APNIC. This session is an opportunity to hear from our colleagues in the iStars around the globe, as well as the other regional internet registries on their activities, what they've been doing, what they've been seeing, and it's a great chance to hear, I suppose, and to also ask questions of those organisations about what's going on in their regions, and learn some more. So we have a lot of speakers today. This tends to be a session where we roll through quite quickly. So I will not be up here very long. I'd like to start off by inviting Save from ICANN to provide an update for the Asia Pacific Hub.
Good afternoon. This is an update from Internet Corporation for Assigned Names and Numbers. There's been some important work that's been going on at ICANN in the broader community, and these are some of the topics that's been involved in. The ICANN community, they identified the issue and released several reports on the topics of DNS abuse, specifically on the DNS abuse impacts the internet end user community, including the erosion of trust and security. This is also known as DNS security threats that impact on operations. There's been deliberations on the new GTLD subsequent procedures, PDP. The generic names supporting organizations started this work back in 2016. They had 5 separate work tracks that they've established the reports, and this is published. Expectation is that they'll continue to review the draft final recommendations for inclusion in the final report and seek resolutions on topics where open issues remain, such as closed generics, string contention resolution mechanisms, and a predictability framework. Universal acceptance, or UA, is the principle that every top-level domain should function within all software applications, regardless of scripts, number of characters, and how new the top-level domain is. So the Universal Acceptance Steering Group oversees universal acceptance efforts at ICANN to promote UA readiness. So this includes the formation of UA local initiatives, and one of the things that they've been doing is really to pursue software developers out there to make sure that the applications that they're using are UA ready. There's also this topic on evolving the governance of the root server system through the RSAC. They've developed an initial framework to evolve the governance of the root server system and continue to work and discuss various internal matters, including its statement to the root server governance working group on joining the import community. There's some ways of how you can get involved. ICANN has put out its 5-year strategic plan, FY21 and 25, and currently, it's the draft FY21 and 25 operating and financial plan and draft FY21 operating plan and budget is open for public comment. We'd welcome the communities here in Asia Pacific as well to please participate and provide your input. At the APAC regional level, we are also working on putting together some plan on activities that we can do for FY21 and 25, so welcome your participation in that. There's also the initial report of the Expedited Policy Development Process, APDP, on the temporary specification for GTLD registration data, phase 2. So public comment is also open. Please participate. And just to also flag that the nominating committee, the NOMCOM, seeking applications for ICANN and public PTI leadership positions. We have Ole Jacobsen, who is the chair-elect. He's also here in this conference, and he suggested that we also share this information to the AP community so that we can have some, maybe some potential applicants from this region. Now, the next meeting was scheduled for Cancun next month. That's ICANN 67. You might have read just a couple of hours ago that this meeting is now canceled in terms of we are not having a physical meeting in Mexico, but it's going to be a fully remote participation for people that have to come in and do remote participation based on the schedules that's going to be put together for ICANN meeting. We also have we do run 3 global meetings in ICANN. The next 2 that's coming up is in Kuala Lumpur in June. That's very close to our region here in Asia Pacific. So I'd like to invite as many of you to come through to Kuala Lumpur. And then after that in Hamburg in October 2020. These meetings are free to participate in, so look forward to your participation as well from this technical community. We offer fellowships, and there's also a next-gen program. Do share this as well with your colleagues, and see how we can get as many participations through this. Now, we also run an ICANN space within the ICANN community here in APAC through our APAC office. This is a space where we enable community members from Asia Pacific to come together and participate and talk about some of the ICANN issues that's dear to them. It doesn't replace the policy development processes, but some of the topics has been led through the community. I've talked about DNS abuse last week. There is a mailing list to that you can subscribe. We basically run these meetings via web conference, and at ICANN meetings, and we'll have a face-to-face. So please do subscribe as well. One of the areas that we focus as well on at the regional level, our APAC offers, together with their partners in the region, help put together some program for the APIGA. This is to help the next generation youths in Asia Pacific to work on developing their knowledge on internet governance. I think it's been a successful program so far. At least we found out that at least one out of every 4 participants in this program have come through and participated in our communities through APNIC or even ICANN. Finally, just to share that we need to contribute to a secure, stable, and resilient internet at ICANN through the APNIC through the APAC office. We promote capacity development, offering DNS management and DNS security. Just last year alone, we had 13 DNSSEC trainings, offering them to 360 participants. Within the Oceania region, we had them recently in Fiji, Tonga, and Vanuatu. We are also inviting ISPs in the regions. If you are interested in hosting your own root server instance, that you can get in touch with us, and we can work together in terms of how you can deploy that. DNSSEC deployment continues to be a big topic that we want to work with in the region as well, especially working with CCTLDs, country code top-level domains, and also for ISPs to conduct DNSSEC validation, and we offer those trainings as well. So please participate in ICANN, and that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Save. Kim Davies from PTI couldn't be with us today, but he's very ably going to be covered today to the PTI report by Adiel Aklogan. Yeah. Thanks, Adiel.
Thank you. So I'm stepping in for Kim, and I will quickly take you through the IANA reports on from the number resource perspective. So today there are 16 people working to support the IANA function as PTI staff, and the report is going to cover four main topics: the reverse DNS provisioning system, the new resource dashboard that IANA is releasing and to be used by the RAR, the new strategic plan that the bylaw of PTI require IANA to have, and the last one is the SLI performance audit. So on the reverse DNS side, IANA has set up a new API for updating the delegation in the reverse tree from the RAR. And this new API has been running for a few months now in parallel with the old one to make sure that the new one meets the same requirements and is working in the right way compared to the old one. So soon IANA will keep the new system and actually use that opportunity to also migrate it into IANA own operation. Right now it's run outside IANA operation from another service, a service to IANA, but it will be migrated back to IANA. There are discussions also to make sure that the new system has an SLA associated with it. Not that it's not providing the service as expected, but it's always good to have some SLA and using the opportunity of the transition to do that. IANA is also releasing a new dashboard for resource allocation, and in the case of the RAR specifically, this is adding a little bit more transparency on the way IANA implement global policy and also allocate resources to the RAR. The dashboard will then provide information about allocation to the RAR, when those allocations were done, the utilization, the eligibility of the RAR. So by using or looking at the dashboard, any RAR can know if they are eligible or not to receive additional allocation. The dashboard currently covers only two resources, IPv6 and AS number. Obviously, because IPv4, there is no allocation from IANA on IPv4 anymore. So it gives a lot of detail. It is based also on data published by the RAR in the stat file. So you will have, information like this one, the current space, when it was allocated by IANA, the usage, the projection, in the coming month, and you can drill down even looking at the projection to see more information. You can see information like allocation by status, by country, the last 6 month allocation, and how much the allocation is fragmented. So it's add the transparency. So any area can self-assess themselves against the resources allocated by IANA to them. And you have the same thing for AS number as well. So information on the dashboard is updated daily, and I welcome feedback from the area, of course, to improve it and add functionality as you want it. One update has already been done based on feedback from APNIC. So if you want to IANA to implement anything new, you feel free to do that. The link to the dashboard is IANA.org number -allocation. You can feel free to use it. Strategic plan. As Save just mentioned, ICANN has a strategic plan for its own that cover ICANN operation in general, but PTI by law required that IANA function as its own strategy separated from the global ICANN strategy. So that process is on the way now, led by the PTI board, to kind of define what will be the key and priority for IANA in the coming year. And because this is happening when we can say the transition is completely over, the strategic plan will focus mainly on how to put in place all the elements needed for IANA to completely fulfill its post-transition mission. Some key elements on the strategy, you can see there, excellence, focus on evolving security requirements, for instance, deliver services according to SLA and agreement with the different stakeholders, align with ICANN processes and annual budget. All those things are going to be covered and focus on IANA. There will be a public comment for that, so watch this space to provide your input to that strategic plan. The goal is to be able to have it operational by the end of this fiscal year, starting fiscal year 21. Audit, IANA regularly audits its processes and function to make sure that they adhere to international standards, but also to provide its customer assurance that they diligently follow their own process. So 2 audits has happened, one based on the COSO framework, internal audit on the registry assignment and maintenance system that was done with few exceptions, and they are being integrated. The other audit report is on the KSK, the root zone KSK, to also give assurance that there is confidence in the way that IANA is handling the trust anchor for the domain name system. All those audits were done by external organization, RSM, which has been contracted to provide the audit. You can read the report online as well on iana.org/audits. Finally, SLA performance. This is also a requirement for IANA function to regularly benchmark its performance against the SLA. And this one specifically related to number of resources. The good news is that 100% of the SLA met the regional internet registry need and expectation in the past year, which is a good news. And this is also publicly available online on IANA website. So that will be it from IANA function perspective. Any question? Additional clarification? If no, thank you.
Thank you, Ariel. Next, we have the Internet Society update. And instead of Raj, we have Robert Melath, who is one of Raj's colleagues. Raj couldn't be with us today, but he is here at the conference. But Robert will do a sterling job, I'm sure. Go ahead and move yourself forward.
All right, thank you. Okay, here. So thank you, everyone. My name is Raj Singh. I just went to a training session. I got slimmer, a little nose job, but so thank you for having me. So Robert Melath from the Internet Society. I'm new at the Internet Society, but I came at a very exciting moment, as you might all have heard in the news. I'm leading the membership team, and so if you have any questions, just come and see me. So in 2020, the Internet Society went through quite a restructuring. And press the green button. Here we go. So we keep our focus on the internet is for everyone. I think we all share that same goal. Now we went a little step further, and now we have a mission that is related to. We want to keep we want to actually aim for a. How do we put it there? Oh yeah, a open, globally connected, secure, and trustworthy internet. And then we filtered that down, and in a way it came to a focus that is focusing on building, promoting, and defending a stronger internet. Now, what do we mean with that exactly? Oh, I have it here. What we mean with that exactly is, so to build the internet is to in a way, just to extend it to communities that don't have it. We say in a nice way, to connect the unconnected. From there, from the promoting the internet is, we want to promote the internet model of networking as the preferred model of using the internet, and convince key governments to adopt policies that favor the internet model and improve connectivity. And of course, the deployment of technologies and protocols that secure interconnection of independent networks. Now, from the defending internet, I think we've all seen in the news, and you live this, so you know it better than I, that there's some issues with centralization, and we are actually trying to use our policy experience to to promote a different way of working, so a decentralized model. And as we all know now, a lot of governments are promoting a weakening of encryption. We're going to start a global advocacy program to combat that. So anyone who wants to be a part of that, please come on board. And of course, defend against shutdowns. That's a high priority on our list. Moving forward, it comes actually down to all this, what you see right now. There are going to be 5 projects that will be linked to a stronger internet, and 3 projects to internet growth. Now, I'll give you just a quick run through. I know we have time constraints of the 2020 projects. And the beauty of it is that it just makes us to work in a very focused way. So the whole organization now is actually working towards these projects. And we're also looking for partners and with our members as well to contribute to these projects. So as I said, promoting the internet way of working. In short, where it really comes down to is what we're going to do is promote a different approach to the centralization approach. So we're going to use our policy arm to promote the decentralized way of working. Now, from the encryption perspective, as I said, we will look forward to working with anyone who will be involved in setting up a global coalition to combat the weakening of the internet encryption. Manners, as many of us already know, so we have, I think, now 306 Manners members, and we want to double it to 600, and add new types of organizations, for example, CDNs. And the Manners Observatory Service, we're really going to put that as a production service in the future. And they're just around the corner, by the way, if you haven't spoken with them. And very interesting topic that's kind of forgotten is time security. Many organizations around the world, finance institutes, all the way down to medical, biotech, etc. But then we also look at data centers. A lot of them are not really aware of how important time security is for the trustworthiness of the internet. And we are now working to establish metrics to track future deployment of those protocols. Now, another one is leading by example. I think in another meeting I was hearing that in certain countries they actually have issues with web server protocols, and the standards are difficult to find. So we are actually going to become kind of a one-stop shop for anyone who searches that type of information. Now we're getting to the growing the internet part. Go quickly in it. Is community networks. That's the part where we're saying, okay, we want to connect the unconnected. And that can be anywhere in the world. And a lot of people, I'm coming from the ICD4D sector. We were doing this a lot in Africa, but I'm recently in Canada, and their rural areas in Canada are also not connected. So this is a very beautiful work that we're doing. The picture is actually from of work that we've done in Hawaii. And the IXPs, so we're going to look at creating 5 new IXPs and strengthening the 10s that we have. And we're going to provide training for that as well in some key regions so that they can self-sustain themselves. Measuring the internet, that's also a very interesting one because we want to be the one-stop shop where you can find high-level curated information about the internet that can help anyone make informed decisions in the future. We're going to build on top of it a dashboard so that you can really take that information and use it for yourself. We will do some work ourselves, but we're going to really curate it and look from third-party information providers and data providers as well. Now our community, so all this, of course, we can't do it alone. So we are keeping the projects that we already have, the Internet Hall of Fame, the Jonathan B. Postal Service Award, NDSS, that's going to stick. However, I think the most important thing is that we work in a community and that we get anyone involved. So I invite everyone who would like to get involved in any other way to explore how we could work together in the future. Now, I'll keep this very short. This is kind of, about the new structure and direction that we have. That came across, what it really comes down to is, because we have this focused now way of working, the organization changed within as well. So we're all focused on working on these projects in the future. And thank you very much. And if you have any questions, just come see me or Raj, who looks like me. Okay, thank you.
Thanks very much. We're now going to have the ASO-AC report presented by Brajesh. Brajesh is one of the representatives on the ASO-AC.
Good afternoon, all. I stand here on behalf of APNIC delegates to ASO-AC, Aftab, Simon, and myself. ASO, as you know, is Address Supporting Organization of ICANN. Just to briefly cover, who is it? This is also known as NRO Number Council, and you will appreciate that number and address, this is synonymously used in the context of ICANN and RIRs. Here we use numbers. ICANN, they use the word address. It is, of course, Number Resource Policy Advisory Body. How is it organized? We have 15 members, 3 from each region, 2 elected at large by the community, 1 appointed by RIR board, and of course we have RIR and ICANN observers. Term of office is different from every RIR. It is expected to do advise ICANN board on internet number matters, select ICANN board members, 2, seat 9 and 10, select representatives to ICANN bodies, NOMCOM, or acquired. It meets every month telephonically, typically Wednesday, 12 UTC, and face-to-face meeting annually, which was supposed to happen in Cancun, and we'll decide what to do next. These are the 2020 Address Council members. Starting with APNIC, names are here. APNIC, of course, I mentioned Aftab, Simon, and myself. And we have got members from every organizations. And you would see the term is already mentioned. And you will notice that every year, a few of us change. For example, 2020, 7 of the 15 would be, as per this, retiring. They may get re-elected or new persons may come in their place. Of course, as part of ASO-AC transparency, we decided that we will publish the attendance as they have participated into these meetings. In 2020, we have so far 2 meetings, monthly meetings, and this is the attendance record. And from APNIC, all 3 of us could attend both the meetings, and in next APNIC meeting, we'll be able to give the record up to the till that month. Of course, ASO-AC activities is global policy management. Each region has its own policy development process. Typically, all are open, transparent, bottom-up approach. Global policy proposals, once it comes, is to be submitted in all 5 regions. Each region follows its own process of approving or otherwise, and if it is approved, then it gets passed on to the NRO for review. And once agreement is there, it then forwarded to ICANN board for consideration and implementation. ASO-AC activities, as we have said, global policy management, we always create every year a policy proposal facilitators team called PPFT, and to be able to respond quickly to any issues from each region, one person is appointed to this PPFT. This year from APNIC, I happen to be in the team, so there are 5 PPFT. Presently, there are currently no global policy proposals. Of course, ASO/AC accountability, we create work plan, which is there. We create next year work plan, and then we also review what happened in the plan. Because of the time, I will not be able to cover, but URLs are given here. You are welcome to visit that. Now, ASO/AC, we also move forward, as I can move forward, that we should be more and more transparent. So all of meetings, annual face-to-face meetings will be open to observers, except for discussion whenever it comes for the ICANN board elections. Its slide is already become obsolete. Next face-to-face meeting will happen wherever. New AC Discuss mailing archive has open public records now. And I'm happy to report that ASO/AC monthly teleconference is open for all. So each of you is welcome to participate, attend those meetings. And of course, presently, there is a limitation that they cannot start intervening, interjecting, but later we said we will be able to relax even that part if possible. So typically, we, as I mentioned, first Wednesday of the month at 12 p.m. UTC we meet, and we publish the calendar every year, because that first Wednesday could clash with some RIR meeting or something, so which is already published this year. Current appointments, we have Akinori Maimura-san. He is already sitting here. We have Ron. He is already here. And as you understand, both are making excellent contributions to the ICANN board. We definitely welcome you, sir. Pankaj Chaturvedi is the representative ASO in the ICANN NOMCOM for 2020 term. ASO AC 2020 appointments, seat 9 ICANN board we will start selection process, because ICANN has told us that we should finish the appointment much before NOMCOM does it. So while we will start the process this year for term 21-24, and of course, APNIC region is not eligible because Akinori San is already representing APNIC, and one of the norm is that out of the 2 cannot be from the same region. So ASO representative will be to ICANN NOMCOM once again will be chosen for 2021 term. More about the ASO can be found at this, and these are the 3, Aftab, myself, and Simon. And thank you very much. So I am happy to, if you can raise any quick questions or. Thank you.
Thank you, Brajesh. Okay, now we're going to start going through the RIR presentations, and we'll do it alphabetically. So it's my pleasure to introduce APRICOT, and today we're welcoming for the first time the new CEO of APRICOT, Eddie Kahura. Welcome, Eddie.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for the warm welcome. It's my first time here, and I have to adjust to many things, microphone included. That's not my fault. So we have to deal with that. And I've got I arrived yesterday. It was nice to meet some of you and get to know you. And I can say that there's a lot of support and a lot of encouragement from the community, and I'm very happy for that. So to talk about APRICOT, I don't think I need to go much into this. In the fifth area, created in 2005, headquartered in beautiful Mauritius, serving 55 economies and 45 staff. The mission and the vision is to be the leading force in growing the internet for Africa, sustainable development, and contribute to the growth of internet in Africa. This is what we are doing day by day. The membership growth in 2019, we had approximately 182 new members, and the number of IP addresses that were distributed or allocated in 2019 is 4.5 million for V4. We still have some, and 364 /32s, which makes it a total of 117 million addresses on V4 space since 2004, and 9.5 thousand /32s in IPv6. On January 13, 2020, we reached soft landing phase 2, and we have around 2 million IPv4 addresses left in our pool. We're only allocating a maximum of /22 and a minimum of /24. The adoption of the IRR, we have 55% of our members that are currently using the APRICOT IRR, and we're aiming to keep on growing this number this year. For the policies that are currently under discussion, we have 14 of them, I think, if not more. Yeah, 14 of them. Oops. I will not dwell in those. I'm sure this is where all of you are, but bear with me. I'm new on this, and we are currently, 2 of them are in the last call, and others are still under discussion, and some of them are also being discussed in other places. Outreach and engagement activities. On this one, there's a slight mistake. We have 972 attendees, but it's globally, not respectively. We mixed the meeting in Kampala and the meeting in Luanda together. It is 972 attendees, which is a growing number. We've been involved in supporting regional NOGs, IGF and technical community events, government roundtables, and different meetings all over the place. We also have been doing IPv6 deployathon, which have been one of the activities that is bearing a lot of fruits into making sure that it's not just an IPv6 training, but making sure that people at the end of the session have already deployed the V6 in their networks. We got 6 of them last year with 83 participants. And we aim to do more of the trainings in webinar formats, not having the face-to-face trainings, and expect to have more people trained onto those online sessions. Okay, we also have an IPv6 help desk, which is attending requests, and different participants did IPv6 certification exam. The FIRE program, the grants and award program supported projects up to the tune of $39,000. And for this year, we intending to do it a bit different, but still continuing with the fund for internet research and education. We expect to see you in Kinshasa. Hopefully it's going to happen in spite of all the things that is happening now globally. And the dates are 31st May to 12th of June. On the slide, there's one element that has not been put, which I'm sure is in the back of all your minds, or at least those who follow what's happening on the mailing list and so on. We know that there's a lot that we need to do in terms of clearing up the past and clearing up the different issues that were raised. One of our staff has been dismissed after doing I would say, not conventional. He was not asked to do what he did, but things happen in life, and we are dedicated and committed to fix that and reverse and improve the internet. I don't know if there are any questions, but we can meet later. Thank you.
Thank you, Eddie. I can adjust the microphone now. So it's Aaron time, and we have Aaron Board Chair, Paul Anderson.
Thank you.
Thank you. Green button is the one.
Thank you. So I'm hoping over the next couple minutes to just kind of give you a sense of what we're very excited at ARIN and a lot of the changes that have been happening under the hood, with a ultimate goal of trying to improve the services that we provide our customers. Part of that has evolved at the board level, where I'm at. We've just completed a 3-year strategic planning process, which in itself was new for us. Not the strategic planning part, but we have now tried to publish and put a longer vision so that the organization has a bit more direction in terms of where we're going down the road. The high-level points being, of course, that we want to make sure that we have a highly usable internet registry, that we make sure that's coordinated with our other RR partners, and that it's something that our community can rely on. A lot of, though, what's been going on recently, too, is just trying to make sure that the services that we have are the functionalities by our customers. And I'm going to get into a little bit on that and some of the changes, both in terms of focus and staffing that's occurred, that we hope to do that. Of course, upholding multi-stakeholder. We still currently serve just shy of 40,000 customers, 22,000 of those just under some degree of contract, and of those of our ISP members, which are typically our members, about 6,300. A little data because everyone likes, and a little correction here because my editing skills are not correct. This just gives an idea of the number of IP addresses we've seen move between the 3 RIRs that are currently participating in regional. It's actually a little correction. I couldn't fix it. It's not 10.1 million between ARIN and RIPE. It's actually 7.7. But just to give you an idea on that. We continue to see good uptake of our members taking at least IPv6. Our next goal is trying to make sure that they make more and more use of this actually in their network and not just having it registered. So going on a bit to the policy work. First, our policy, as you know, is handled by, or may or may not know, is handled by our elected advisory council. It's 15 volunteers elected from our community. And one thing that I'd just like to highlight that I'm very proud of, but I can't take any of the credit for, is that our last election process, first for sure for ARIN, and I think for an ISTAR body, an elected body, over half of the members of that advisory council are now women. So that's really good to see that a lot of the work that that group has been doing on trying to capacity build has really paid off and brought a lot of fresh new faces and great ideas. Of course, as you can see on the slide, the predictions of policy going to nothing has stayed true, and we don't even have any Geordie policies, I think. In the there's one, yes, there's one, but don't worry, his pen is ready, and he'll get us up. So yeah, So we have about 12 policies in the process, ranging a variety of stuff, sprinkling both on V6 and V4, and a lot of transfers, and there's about another half dozen that are early proposals that you'll see. These, of course, you're all welcome to read on the website and, of course, comment on one of the mailing lists. Going a bit to the organization itself. So we've had a lot of staffing adjustments, and all for the better. One of the focuses we're really putting on is improving ARIN's products. First, defining them much better, making sure that we are clear what those products are, that we offer our customers, and how can we make sure that they're right ones and that they're what our customers are looking for. And to that end, we have a new role, but not a new person to many of you, of a chief customer officer who will be responsible for really driving that customer-centric process. It's John Sweeting, who's right here. John, taking over that, of course, left a vacancy in Director of Registration Services, so Lisa Lydell, who's also here, has filled that role. And to that effect, we've hired our first ever product manager, and we hope one of many hires that we'll see that will help that. So Joe Westover will be starting shortly. If you have comments, feedback, criticisms, accolades that you'd like to give, John is here throughout the meeting, so please grab him, and he'd love to take your feedback. We've also brought on to strengthen the bench a chief financial officer, which we've had vacant for a few years, in Brian Kirk. We have a new director of communications, and yes, that does mean that Susan Hamlin, for those that you know, has actually retired after many years, a long and well-deserved retirement, so we wish her the best in her retirement, and excited to bring Hollis on, and Garth has started to bring on the software development. So a little bit of some of the product stuff that we have worked on, and I'll take a second to do one topic that we know gets a lot of attention and feedback, and that's RPKI. I think just as an organization and a board, we certainly hear a lot of the feedback that we've heard on some of the challenges that some people have had, and we think that we've done a lot of work to respond to that, and we're going to continue to do that. One of the main ones is we did take a lot of the feedback regarding the Reline Party Agreement that's required to get access to some of the RPKI services. We've made feat changes to the indemnity clause, which we think is now much more narrow and seem to address a lot of concerns. We started to make it easier to distribute the data that comes in, that you can use that. So we realized that from feedback that there was cases that people wanted to use, especially for research and education, so we were able to make that. We've also started a new process. I believe we're still don't have anyone officially on it yet, but we have several interested parties that you can become a redistributor of the RPA. So if you as an organization want to offer RPKI services and you want to directly interface with that, that's something that we're willing to do. There's a lot of thresholds that you have to meet, but we're happy to speak of that. We simplified the access to the TAL itself. I know that's been a bone of contention, but we think that we've done several aspects, making it easier to get it through ARIN Online. We've allowed people who are distributing software that involve RPKI to actually allow the TAL to be retrieved directly as long as they preserve our terms and have that. And we've also added support for the RRDP protocol, which was heavily requested. We're going to continue to review that feedback. We understand that there's still some issues that people would like to see, and we're for sure not done completing it. And as we heard yesterday, the IRR is a hot topic in a lot of regions, especially since RIPE has made changes there. So I know this has been said before, but we are now excited to say that we're expecting the first phase of our new IRR to come out this June, with a lot of long-standing changes that we've heard from the community, having it actually tied into the ARIN database as opposed to just its own separate island, the ability to manage it through ARIN Online. Another item that we've seen a lot of work on is our waiting list, which is interesting. So obviously, as many heard, and I won't get into too much, ARIN was part and discovered some serious fraud that had occurred. The board suspended the waiting list, which was the facility which allowed, for those that aren't aware, that when ARIN got address space back, it's how we distributed that address space to our community. We suspended it, and our community did some great policy work to address some of the concerns that we'd seen with some of the fraud or other behavior we were uncomfortable with. So that's now been relaunched. We've even hit what I think was a bit of an interesting anomaly. We actually hit a point where we had address space and nobody that was in line to get it. That's now solved itself. But you know, that process seems working. And as mentioned, we really are starting to work a lot on our product philosophy. Going to our wider community, we've followed what I know a lot of the other RRs have done, and we've started to put a real focus on training. We've hired dedicated staff. We've launched a few modules. We have a leadership development series, which we had a lot of feedback on people who wanted to become leaders in the community, but how could they get involved or get the skill set? So we've worked with our advisor council, our board, amongst the ASOAC to put some courses together, and we've had some good uptake on that. We've had a V6 address planning webinar that we've run 3 times and have all 3 times sold out the available space, so that's obviously great, and we will continue to do that, and various other training events. We also launched recently for our community a community grant program. The second rotation of that is now underway, so if you have a project that you think might meet some criteria that, loosely said, will obviously benefit ARIN and its community, we do have funds that we're giving out on a yearly basis to that. And lastly, I just want to say that, as part of our region, we've really ramped up our Caribbean engagement. That includes a lot of facilitation, both in working with governments, working in their regional network operator groups, and trying to capacity build. And we're very excited with some of the collaboration that we've done that. And I believe with that, I just have to say, if you are interested in participating, our next meeting will be in Louisville, Kentucky, the week before the famous Kentucky Derby. And we do have a fellowship program that you can, until the 25th, apply to come attend the meeting, and Aaron covers many of those costs. So details are there on the website, and with that, I will hopefully have caught up a little bit of time. And so if there's no questions, I'll hand it back.
Thank you, Paul. We're actually doing very well for time. I'd now like to invite Maria from LACNIC to come and give the presentation from LACNIC.
Hi, my name is Maria, and I'm the LACNIC Communications Manager. And I would like to show you some of the relevant topics that are in our regional and some other milestones that are happening this year. Well, for all those who don't know yet, LACNIC was established in 2002, almost 18 years, and it's managed by a board of 7 directors, which are elected by our LACNIC members, which are more than 10,000 organizations right now. And this is us. We are the second best place to work in Uruguay, and we are very proud of that. And we have, this picture was from last year. And our values are focused in teamwork, commitment, our employees, and excellence. So we try to work on that every day. And, well, our vision is focused to lead strengthening a secure, stable, open, and continuous growing internet in our region, Latin America and Caribbean. So I just wanted to highlight some of our projects and initiatives that are focused on this: security, stability, and resiliency. We have installed in 2019 a BGP collector in Uruguay, and we keep working in our project Murrihy, which is focused on installing Anycast server copies in our region in partnership with regional organizations. And this, I just wanted to show some of the countries that have been selected during last year to install the copies. Suriname with Telesur, Bolivia with Comteco, Guatemala with Tigo, and Mexico with Transelco. It's a project that has been working for a long time, and we try to promote it every year. The call is going to be open the next month. And related to this topic, routine security, I just wanted to mention or highlight another interesting project that is called FORD. It's focused on routine technology. And we are working with NIC Mexico since last year in this project. We have developed an open source RPKI validator. We announced it in our last event in Panama during the last event. And we are working right now in a tracking tool to document routine incidents, and that's going to be launched in the few months. Well, relating to our online training, as many of the RARs are working on this, I just wanted to show you some of our data. We have our LACNIC campus, like other areas, I don't know, APNIC Academy. We have our LACNIC campus. We have webinars as well, but that are apart from the campus. And just in reference to the past year, there were more than 6,700 trainee students in the campus. Most of our courses are in Spanish. We have a basic IPv6, advanced IPv6, BGP, RPKI, security networks. And we are going to have 2 more courses this year in Spanish as well. One is about internet governance, and the other one is IPv6 last mile networks. And we have implemented some courses in English, like Introduction to IPv6, but we are still working on publishing more in English. Related to resource management, well, some of our data. We have more, as I mentioned before, last December, we reached more than 10,000 members. And our member base has been duplicating since 2015. 3 years ago, we created the nano category as well, which has more than 200 members nowadays. This past year, we have started to getting closer to small ISPs. Our team has hardly worked to participate in different events throughout the region, focusing on small ISPs. And well, the focus was to provide information about how to request a number of resources. And well, just to mention that the new members have increased 23% in these countries, the countries that we visited. Related to IPv4, LACNIC entered in the 3rd phase in 2017, which means that we can allocate, maximum allocation is /22, one time only, and our current pool size is 1.1 million addresses. Well, that's one of our milestones this year. We will expect to end by the 3rd quarter of this year. Related to transfers as well, we have another new milestone. We already have intra-areas transfer in our region during the past 3 years. Well, that picture shows some of the offering and receiving countries, organizations. But inter-area transfers policy has been ratified and is going to be implemented this year as well. That's another important milestone for LACNIC. And well, just to end this presentation, I want to welcome you to our next events. You can visit our website. We are going to be in Colombia in May, in Cali. And by October, we'll be in Santa Cruz, Bolivia. So you are more than welcome to visit us, and you can go to lacnic.net if you want anything else, or you can ask me or my colleagues as well. And that's all. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Maria. And last and certainly not least is the RIPE NCC, and we have Felipe here to give us the presentation.
Oops. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Felipe. I work with the RIPE NCC, and I want to tell a little bit about what's going on in our service region. I would like to start with our key focus areas for 2020. they were based on our strategic focus, a 3-year strategic focus from 2018, 19, and 2020, which says deliver world-class services and help to maintain the resiliency and stability of the internet. So based on that, we came up with 5 key focus areas for 2020 that are published on our activity plan and budget. So if you're interested in more details, feel free to go to our website. So the first focus area is to ensure the high quality of our registry. Second one is to better understand the needs of our members. I'm going to explain a bit one of the things that we're doing to address that issue. Third, to carry out effective member outreach and external engagement. Fourth, to modernize our technical infrastructure. And fifth, to increase accountability and due diligence. The big event we had last year was the IPv4 exhaustion. So on the 25th of November, our pools ran completely dry. And it was a long and anticipated event. So we planned the whole year, like all the communications around it, to make sure everyone was informed, and also adapting our policies, our internal procedures, and our software to deal with the post-runout scenario. We had an extremely high number of new LAR applications leading to the runout. So the 4 months before we ran out, we had an average of 700 new LAR applications per month. So that was a very stressful moment for us. From the moment that we reached the runout, a new policy kicked in to deal with the address space that we get back from closures. So how this address space should be distributed. So it basically institutes a waiting list and reduces the allocation size from /24, from /22 to /24. And we expect to continue making this allocating these small amounts for the foreseeable future. So this chart shows how our pool looked like for the past 3 years. So in October 2016, we had a little bit less than /8. And yeah, as I said before, November last year, we reached the complete runout, or kind of. As you can see, there is a little bit of address space, and part of it is address space that we have in quarantine that we recover when you close LAR accounts. So did we really run out? Well, kind of. So instead of having a IPv4 pool, now we have an IPv4 puddle. So we have a little blocks here and there that are address space that we get back when you close LAR accounts. That can be because the company ceased to exist, or because they're not paying their bills, or because they committed fraud. So currently, the waiting list is empty, and we have at around 600 /24s in our free pool, or in our free puddle. And we're expecting to release at around 1,100 /24s this quarter. In this chart over there, you can see that during some time around December, between December and mid-January, we had a waiting queue. It was up to 100 LARs, but it quickly went down as soon as we start releasing address space that was in quarantine. We're experiencing, as I said before, a very high membership growth leading to the runout. So as I said before, the 4 months before the runout, we had like 700 new LAR applications. But the trend was visible for the past 7 years. So in 2012, we had a little bit less than 10,000 LAR accounts. Today, we have more than 25,000. So it's a threefold growth in a period of 7 years. So it's quite a lot. In our region, we also have a high number of IPv4 transfers. So you can see in this chart, starting 2014, started a big growth, and it has been quite steady over the last few years. We have an average of 300 IPv4 transfers per month. And November and December last year, we had a peak. It was around 450 transfers. So it's quite a high number. So I'd like to change topics now from the IPv4 runout to our survey. As explained in the beginning of the presentation, one of our key focus for this year is to understand the needs of our members. And one of the ways we do that is to run surveys. So we do that every 3 years. So we ran one last year, 2019. The previous one was 2016. And the one from last year was the largest that we ever did. So we had more than 4,000 respondents, which is quite high compared to the number of members that we have. One of the reasons for that is that for the very first time, we translated the survey to 8 different languages, and more than half of the participants, they answered in a language other than English, which was something quite positive. 92% of our respondents rated the REANNZ services as good or excellent, which is something I find very nice. And we also used the results of the survey to identify 36 areas in which we need to take action. So if you're curious about those, you can follow that link. So some of the insights from the survey: network security is the biggest challenge for our technical community. So we are very interested in how we can help there. More than half of the participants say that they will need IPv4 for the next 2 to 3 years, which is not very surprising. 61% of them are planning to buy in the transfer market. 41% are planning to use NAT. One result that I personally find a bit disappointing is concerning IPv6 deployment. It's more or less the same result that we had on our previous survey back in 2016. 21% of our participants say that they had fully deployed IPv6. Last year, the number was 22%, so it's more or less the same. Half of them say they have already started, and a quarter say they have no plans. 27% of the participants believe that regulatory changes will impact them or the REANNZ over the next few years. And their key concerns are censorship, national autonomy, and high compliance costs. We currently have 3 policies under discussion in our region. First one is 2019-04. It's about the abuse mailbox validation. We implemented one last year, and then this one is going a bit more in depth into the validation. The policy 2019-06 is some editorial changes in the IPv6 policy, so it's mainly streamlining the text. And the last one is the 2019-08, which is about using RPKI ROAS to protect unallocated space using the AS0. So I'd like to invite you all to join us in Berlin in May for our next RIPE meeting. Thank you very much. No questions, I guess.
Well, thank you, Felipe. And thanks to all our presenters. We have finished a little bit earlier, which is, I think, a first for our Global Report session. Thank you all for coming today. Thank you all to our speakers for making the effort to come to Australia and present. You'll hear more about APNIC